Welcome back to the Centrium in Red Deer. I'm Jack Michaels, now joined by Oilers Assistant General Manager and the General Manager, of course, of the Bakersfield Condors, Keith Gretzky. No score through 20 minutes of play. Oilers outshot the Flames, rookies 13-7. Keith, Bob and I were speculating, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So for Raphael Lavoie and some of these other rookies in camp, I know it's the first game, I know it's early September, but everything means something, does it not? What are you and the brass looking at?
Well, you're right. The biggest thing is it's not July where you're coming in for development camp, getting your feet wet. They should know, and they do know, that they've got to make an impression on the staff to show us what they can do and what they, are really good at, and they have to strive on that and make a good impression. There's
that other group. The group that, quite frankly, this potentially is the first step in the process toward making the opening night roster. For guys like Evan Bouchard, Tyler Benson, those are the guys, Cooper Marody. Those are guys that I imagine this game takes on that much more significance.
Well, you want to go out there and play well and show that what you can do. So when it comes to the NHL games, that these coaches are looking at it and they say, these guys played well in the rookie games, and we want to see them against the big boys. So it's very important for them to come out and play well.
Is it magnified at all by the fact that you've got two fresh sets of eyes at extremely important positions in Ken Holland and Dave Tippett?
Well, of course, especially Ken. He's probably seen a lot of these guys and out scouting, so he knows most of them. But when it comes down to it, it's, you practice. Anybody can practice. But when you're battling, competing, and playing hard, that's when your game has to really rise.
That first period, Evan Bouchard looked a lot like a guy who's had a lot of experience already in a short career. He played at virtually every level there is in hockey last year, and he looked, for me, especially poised in his own end. Not necessarily slowing the game down, but controlling the game.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen that. So what I was impressed with was his quickness.
Yeah.
I thought he really looked quicker. He had a lot more jump. Wasn't waiting for his D partner to go back and get the puck. I see a big improvement in that part of his game because I've seen that other part. So it's good to see that they're raising their level and improving in those areas.
Ryan McLeod, for me personally, has been a real tantalizing prospect. I love the kind of plays he can make. As you can imagine, for the average guy, he can be an electrifying player. Having said that, after a good camp last year, he didn't quite have the season he wanted. What are you looking for from him in the next couple of weeks?
Well, you saw in the first period, I thought he really supported the puck well, made smart plays, he used his speed. I thought he started getting his nose in there and getting dirty and playing hard and competing, and that's what he really has to improve on for me. And biggest thing, too, is shoot the puck. You saw a couple of times I thought, he overlooks and, get it and rifle that puck.
Cooper Marody. He's a guy that's a little bit more of a polish tool, having played, obviously, at an NCAA Division I program. He was a workhorse for Bakersfield last year and, of course, got some NHL games. What's his last hurdle to making the big club permanently?
I think the quickness, and I see him that he's getting a little quicker. I think he's really in great shape. So for me, it'd be his quickness, and I see that he's improved on that.
What about Kyler Yamamoto? Fans are going to, want to know, is he going to be able to play in main camp? Is he going to be able to get some preseason games?
He's like anybody else. They're going to fight for a job, and when he gets called upon to play, he's going to play, and it's one of those things. There's a lot of guys here, and they just got to battle hard.
Is there a guy or two, and this might be putting you in a bind, but there's always the usual suspects, the guys like Bouchard and Benson that people are constantly wondering, well, what do they need to do to make the big club? Is there a guy or two that's not maybe necessarily a lock to make the NHL roster, but a guy that Bob and I should be paying attention to, and the average fan should just keep an eye on, a guy that maybe has caught your eye that might be completely under the radar?
I don't see it like that. I see it's whoever comes out, and it's every game. It's not going to be one game or a period and a half. It's coming out and playing hard. Every game that you have a chance to play in the exhibition games, you're going to earn a job.
Well, and speaking of earning a job, I guess the guy that comes to mind immediately in that category was Logan Day from last year.
Yeah. You see the offensive skill, and he looks quicker too. His skating in a year has really jumped up, and his D-zone play has really improved. I think Dave Manson did a great job with him last year in Bakersfield. So, you know what? You never know.
Has there been much of a transition for you? Obviously you're working with a different team this year. Does that mean anything differently for you?
No, you know what? I'm open and always wanting to learn. And the one good thing is I know these players, and when Ken needs an opinion, I'm not afraid to give it to him if he doesn't know these guys.
Keith, thanks so much for the time. We look forward to seeing you a little bit later on in the preseason.
Same to you.
All right, that's Keith Gretzky, the assistant general manager for the Edmonton Oilers and, of course, the GM of the Bakersfield Condors. In just a moment, we'll be taking a look at our first period highlights. No score after 20. The Edmonton and Calgary Rookies live from Red Deer.